Welcome back to the Horse Racing Show. Thank you for watching us on YouTube, tuning in to iTunes and Google Play on Facebook, and you can follow us at the Horse Racing Show on Twitter. We have talked about this man absolutely every show we've done up till now. His name has been brought up. That's because you can't talk about the Derby without talking about the Hall of Famer, the man that's won the Derby 5 times. He's won 15 Triple Crown races. That's more than anybody else, and the 2-time Triple Crown winner. Can I say any more than here is Bob Baffert? Hello, Bob.
Kenny, thanks for having me on.
Well, listen, I'm glad to catch up with you. And honestly, it wouldn't be the Derby if you're not in this thing. And I don't know if you ever feel pressured to get in this thing every year. We're going to talk about your horses in a minute. But what does it mean to be on the Derby scene again?
You know what? It's really exciting. Because it's our marquee race, and we have all these young horses. We shoot for it, and I can't believe I'm sitting there with with 3 really nice horses. And it's funny, Richard Mandela, who's my neighbor here, he couldn't be any giddier. He came by today, and he's got probably the favorite. Omaha Beach, and I could just tell his whole personality and just the excitement, as a trainer going to the Derby, but with a horse that has a chance to win it. And that there's nothing more exciting more than that, because when you have a long shot, it's okay. It's just like, you're going to need some kind of a Hail Mary pass, but it's a fun situation to be in.
Now, will you stand outside with Richard Mandela and flip a coin over, is Mike Smith going to ride Roadster, who won Santa Anita for you, or is he going to ride Omaha Beach, who won Arkansas for him? Is that how you decide this?
I think Mike Smith right now, I haven't heard from him. And so he's probably went to see those psychic readers, or he's probably talking to everybody right now, like, what should I do? And so he's got a pretty tough, those are 2 really solid horses, and so I don't know, it's going to be it's going to be tough for him, but we just have to be prepared. If it doesn't work out, it's like you hate to lose your quarterback. I'd rather have him riding for me than against me in one of those big races. So but if it happens, you just gotta, it's like putting a ball in the water. You just gotta get another ball and take another swing.
It is. You have to map out all kinds of different things, don't you? I mean, what your horses are going to run, where the jockey may be, who the jockey's going to get. I think people, obviously in the business, get it, Bob, but I'm not sure those casual fans that just watch you and root for you at the Derby every year, watching on NBC, understand that it's more than you just show up with a good horse, which obviously is what you want, but
there's a lot of moving parts. You have to have a good horse. You have to keep them healthy. You have to keep the weight. They got to handle the running, tough races. They come back, and some horses need a little extra time. They don't show up. If you draw a bad pose, if you don't break well, you get wiped out at the start. There's so many things that go wrong. That's why I'm never really relaxed. I get the saddle on them, and once I get the saddle on and put the jockey on, then I'm relaxed for a little bit. And then I do the lucky interview with you right before they go in the gate.
Yeah.
And that helps out. You're the only guy that can, I can really speak casually and freely with, because you know the state that I'm under. That's why I told Bill Belichick one time. He was with us at the Preakness, and he says, we're there talking. These people are coming up to me all the time. He says, man, they really, I can tell you, there's a lot of pressure. Yeah, except for you. You imagine you being on the sideline and you're calling in a play, you're going for third and a yard, or you're trying to get in the end zone, and some guy walks up to you who's been drinking all day, say, hey, can I have a selfie with you? That's the difference. I mean, I'm right there with the crowd. We don't have our little, and you want to be nice to everybody, because they're there to have a good time, and sometimes I just have to bite my lip. But it's the Derby. It's a scene, as you know, and it's crazy. And but I'd rather be there than anywhere else, and especially with a horse. And then when you win it, oh, what a feeling! It's priceless, and it's just we have to sacrifice so many things and put the hours in. But just like any great coach, they great coaches, you have to put the time in. You read about these coaches, they get there at 5, they leave there at 9. We do the same thing. We go to bed thinking about these horses and wake up thinking about these horses.
We're talking with
And
the
that's
Hall
what
of
it is.
Oh, well, and that's why you do it so well. We're talking with the Hall of Famer Bob Baffert. People ask me in whatever career I've had, 2 great moments. I said 15 I interviewed the Triple Crown winner, 18 I interviewed the Triple Crown winner. The first guy to do that. And I take a lot of pride in that. That was a big deal to me too, to be just a whole part of the scene for horse racing, for you that I've known for 20 some years. And I think just for sports, because that Derby and then the Triple Crown, that's the 2 that everybody relates to, right? Belichick relates to that. The guy on the street that, walking down Wilshire Boulevard out there, he'll know about the Kentucky Derby, won't he, Bob? He may not know if you won the Travers or the Haskell, but he'll know if you won the Kentucky Derby.
The Kentucky Derby is our Masters. It's the Masters, and that's the one we all watch. And by the way, you know what? That Tiger Woods, I started crying when he was
Yeah.
coming up to that last hole. I mean, to me, see, that's what I felt that way when American Pharoah won the Triple Crown. Watching him come down there, I got teary-eyed. There's nothing like those super sports moments.
Right.
I know they asked Tiger Woods, is there any other sporting event that inspired you? And he couldn't think of any. I said, well, apparently you didn't watch American Pharoah win the Triple Crown. What's
Yeah.
wrong with that? What's wrong with that guy? But it's things like that. I've been inspired. I was there when Kirk Gibson hit the home run at Dodger Stadium. It was my
Wow.
first baseball game. I was there for that, and I always remember those. And so these great moments. But in horse racing, I'm glad that I was part of a race that inspired a lot of people, because that's all I heard afterwards. Because I watched that race as a fan. I mean, American Pharoah's Triple Crown was. I'll never forget how loud it was. The stands were shaking when you get 100,000 people, all rooting for one horse. It's not like the Super Bowl where half the crowd's rooting for everybody. This was everybody was all in, and that's what the beauty of horse racing. Especially when you follow a great horse like that.
I remember about that you looked over at me. I'm just behind the camera because I'm going to be with you. And, win, lose, I'm going to be there to interview you. And you looked over at me and said, hey, and I thought you were going to give me that Joe Namath, I guarantee a victory moment. I don't know if you even remember this. You were there with your wife, Jill, and son, Bodie, and your family's around you. And I'm getting ready to, get on the talkback switch where I can talk directly to the truck. And I was getting ready to say, Bob's going to give me a great quote. And you said, did you ever see anything like this at a Triple Crown? And the Burger King guy was behind you. Do you remember that?
When the Burger King guy shows up, that means I've got a hell of a horse.
I know it.
And
I know
I
it.
mean it. And I told him, I said, I think I was justified. He won the second race. I says, this is a Burger King horse. I think I got a burger. I think this could be a Burger King horse. So it was funny. Actually, when I see him and the guy inside it, he's actually I finally met him this last year for the first time. He's an actor, and he watched some races with us beforehand in the box there, and really nice guy. But you know what? It makes it for fun and racing on those big days. We put on that big show, and we're seeing at our best. And unfortunately, we've been going through a tough time here at Santa Anita, unfortunately. But one thing about it, we have the 4 favorites at the Kentucky Derby, all trained at Santa Anita on this surface. So he goes to show you, it's not everybody was knocking, Santa Anita, but this is the best place to get a horse ready for the Kentucky Derby.
And no one knows that better than Bob Baffert. So let me ask you about your horses. First off, with Game Winner and Improbable, you did have to make a switch because they canceled the week out there at Santa Anita. So you take them to the Rebel at Arkansas. Improbable stays out there to run the Arkansas Derby. Game Winner comes back and runs second to your roadster in the Santa Anita Derby. Did that throw their schedule off enough? I know you're not going to make excuses. I'm not trying to set you up to make one, but it would seem that maybe things might have been out of sorts a little bit with them, even though they both had good second-place finishes.
Yeah, I would have liked to have run them here at home and not ship them. I don't want to ship twice. It can be a little bit harder on them, but at the end of the day, I once it happens, I don't worry about it. I've learned never to look back. Just look forward and forget about what happened yesterday or last week. You better move forward because I don't I don't like to you know complain or whatever. If we could have run, whatever. But you know what? It's one of those things where I'm just glad that they're doing well. We have 3 weeks to really fine tune them, and we have three good horses. Do I feel like I did last year? No, because when I had Justify, you and Pharaoh, I knew I was coming in there. I was coming in there with a cannon. So, but it's a really good field. There's a lot of parity. There's really nice horses this year, and nobody's really, other than you got the Arkansas Derby, but there hasn't been a horse that really just has, exploded,
Yeah.
and which is good. We're all close, but Omaha Beach is definitely, he looks the part. He's trained by a great guy, and it's like, and so it's fun, to get to all the owners. They're getting there. They're all dreaming and Technicolor right now, which is great. I dream in black and white. But I'm a realist kind of guy. To me, I always go in there, expect the worst, hope for the best attitude. Otherwise, you go crazy in this game. It'll drive you nuts.
My favorite interview with, well, aside from the 2 Triple Crowns, Justify last year and Pharaoh in 15, was last year before the Belmont. I'm back there at the barn. You got all the family with you. We're getting ready for the walkover. And you said, you're a little nervous. I don't want to talk to you. And I said, I'll shut up.
You know what? That's the thing is about it with the Triple Crown. I'd been up there before, and I've seen really good horses get beat. And for some reason, it looks like it's going to happen, and it never happens.
Yeah.
And so I thought, well, I just want to get through it. And once we did it with American Pharoah with Justify, I was walking up there, and I was telling Jimmy, my assistant, one thing about it, I feel pretty good now because we know it can be done. It's doable. So now, we know we can make that 20-foot putt,
Yeah.
because that's what it feels like watching a 20-foot putt go in the hole. It takes forever when they turn for a hole. And so, but I felt really confident about Pharaoh, but I didn't want to say anything. I didn't want to jinx myself. I'm very superstitious. I don't want to jinx myself.
Right.
I've never been, I'd love to have gone up there and say, hey, bring them on, and I didn't want to upset those other trainers, and I want to, they show me any disrespect, So, but for the Justify, I could tell that I knew the jockeys, the trainers, and they were going to come after it. They weren't going to hand it to him. They were going to come after him. And so, he had to work at it a little bit harder because he had to go faster because of the 1 hole to get out of there. And he just showed what a magnificent animal he was.
There's 2 great moments with American Pharoah and Justify. You've won more Triple Crown races. You passed up Wayne Lucas last year when you won the Triple Crown. You got 15 of those. Do you ever think about that 6th Kentucky Derby win? You have 5. If you win 6, you'll be tied with another legend, Ben Jones. Or do you let your mind, when you're dreaming in black and white, even think about records like that, Bob?
No, you know what? I've never been like a guy for the records. I've never been that way. I just feel like I think the reason Lucas only has 15 because he stayed in the quarter horse business too long. See, I jumped out of there quick. He stayed there, about 5 years too long. Otherwise, the record would be bigger. But Wayne is still, I think he's one of the greatest ever. And what he did what I followed him in the quarter horse business. What he did in the quarter horse business, he just revolutionized every sport. Wayne would have been successful in anything he did. If he would have stayed coaching basketball, he would have gone to the Final Four, won a few Final Fours. And that's a guy. He's like a Calipari kind of guy. He's that smart person. He just knows. Just a smart guy. And so, and there's another guy I loved hanging out during is Coach Calipari. He's the greatest. I love that guy.
He had a great time. I saw him at the Triple Crown. He was almost as excited as you when Justify won last year. And, to me, when people ask me about what makes the Kentucky Derby so special, it's kind of like what we're talking about there with John Calipari and Mike Krzyzewski. They're one and dones. They've been going with guys where they got one shot to try to get to a Final Four, win a championship. You do that every year. It's one and done. You know, you're not coming back next year with Roadster or Game Winner or Improbable in a Triple Crown race. And so you got one shot.
I told that to Coach Calipari. So he says it was about Justified to Belmont. So, will he run next year? I said, no, Coach, I'm like you. I'm one and done, but I like it. I said, I like one and done. I don't have a problem with that.
If you had to rank them right now, is it fair to ask you to rank Roadster, Game Winner, and Improbable? Do you put them all three together? Do you have a better feeling about one than the other right now?
They're first of all, they're three different types of horses, and they're all three different colors. I got a bay, a gray, and a chestnut.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so I got it covered. But I really think that the Game Winner, he's a fighter. He's going to be right there. He's right there. He tries hard. You've got Improbable. He got me a little anxious the other day in the gate. I didn't like that, but I don't know what it was. He was in the gate for a long time, but he's going to be right there. He's got a beautiful stride. He's athletic. And the Roadster, he's not one-dimensional. He can be right there. He's got a long stride, and I think the 1.25 miles is not going to be a problem for him, but he does have tactical speed. He can be up there close. And the thing about the Derby now with his point system, you've seen all these preps and you see these crazy horses going out there fast, and now those guys are gone. You've got the crazy speed horses. They're not in there because they didn't qualify. They weren't good enough to go. They didn't get the point. So the pace is not going to be as fast. And so your front runners are going to have, if you can stay out of trouble, that's the whole key. Break and stay out of trouble. You give an edge to those kind of horses. So that's what makes my horses makes them tough, because they're the only one that Game Winner, he likes to be off the pace a little bit. So. But, so there's a lot of, you learn from this. So that's why the draw is so important.
And, you talk about Wayne Lucas would have been successful as a coach had he wanted to. There are some who say, and having heard you play the guitar and talking with your brother PA about it recently, and Bill, possibly you would have been in a rock group had you not been a trainer, because you're a heck of a guitar player that I don't know how many people know that. I mean, you can actually play a guitar.
No, I'm not that good. Believe me, I'm not good.
For those of us who aren't musically inclined, you're pretty good.
No, all I do is I just strum chords. Believe me, I would have loved to. I just cannot. I get to a certain level. I was with Richie Sambora of Bon Jovi at his house a few months ago, and he picked up the guitar.
Yeah.
And you talk about a musician.
Yeah.
Oh, these guys are they're like these great jockeys. They're just way above us, just like these. They're geniuses, and when people tell me, Bob, you're a genius. If I was a genius, I would not be training horses. Okay, just get that right now. I would not be. Geniuses do not train horses. They're doing other businesses. Okay, that's the way it is. So. But I don't mind the compliment, but I am not a genius.
Well, people say that after they bet on your horse and you win. Bob's a genius. And when they lose, come on, Bob.
He's a bum. What's wrong with him? And so, and they do overbet my horses a little bit. So gamblers, they're always mad at me because my horses, they don't come through, or if I beat their long shot or whatever. But it's fun. It's a game that the beauty of it is that nobody can figure it out. If we could figure it out, which are the only horses that can run, we could buy only the good ones and bet on only the good, it would be too easy, And so, and there's no geniuses in our game, And so, that's what makes it, intriguing. A lot of these successful owners get in the business and they say, I'm going to do this. And I think I've got a program. I'm going to do it like it doesn't work that way. You better be really lucky. It's a numbers game. You got to have the numbers. And that's what's kept me in the game.
Well, you come up with a formula, whatever it is, it keeps working. I mean, to stay on the Derby scene, much less to come in with top contenders like Roadster, Game Winner, and Improbable this year. whatever's in that bottle that you're mixing up is working good as far as the magic
No,
formula to
don't,
keep getting.
don't,
No, wait a
don't
minute.
use that.
No, let me take that
please,
back.
Please.
Let me take that back. My God, this is a fun show. All you people out there listening, no, we're not implying or insinuating nothing there. We're talking about, jeez, you're
We're
right.
not talking other sports.
We're not talking. Yes, we're not. We're talking about fun. Fun. Getting the right formula to win. Jeez, people. Yes,
The
Bob.
formula is I start out with like 42-year-olds every year. And
Yeah.
that's what a lot of people think. I 40, and I keep my numbers down. And sometimes it doesn't, sometimes it works, and sometimes it doesn't work. And so, but I have a good staff, and I train for, really nice people that really, and they have a lot of fun because, fortunately, it's, we get, if you can win 20% of the time,
Yeah.
you're really doing well. So we get beat more than we win. So I remember Mike Pegram, when he got me to switch over from corridors, he said, "Why did you pick me?" He says, "Well, Bob, one thing about horse, you lose more than you win, and you're a lot more fun to be with when we lose." So that was, I thought he was going to tell me because we think you're the greatest. Well, no, I'm just more fun when we lose.
Which, you know what? That might be the most realistic and greatest compliment to give you. You know that?
Well, I mean, I think I got a pretty good sense of humor, and sometimes we can have a bad situation. You got to make some. That's what I love about like Jill. Jill's probably the wittiest of all of us. She just when something happens, she's always got a good. She's got a good deal. I'll never forget. I had this owner, and he's a good guy. His name is Luch Racing. He had this Ria Antonia. She was in the Oaks, and he came in and he had shaved RIA in his back of his head, his hair. And I go, and Jill goes, he showed me this, and I go, I said, and he tells him, I hope that R doesn't turn into an M when she turns for a home. And, and it did, I go, well, it's just, she always comes with something good, but it's something that you go crazy. Everybody says, well, you're sort of bipolar because you're up, you're down, you're up and down.
Yeah.
That's what this game does. You got to be tough. You have to be really. That's why everybody says, "Is your son Bodie going to be a trainer?" I said, "No, because there's too many disappointments. There's a lot of disappointment in this game. You got to be able to handle it, and it's coming, and it's hard to get used to. I've gotten used to it, but I'm really not that used to it. You have to be prepared for the disappointments, and so." It's like owning a franchise, you get beat, it's just how much can you take of it? You know what I mean? It's driving you nuts. And if you have a good horse and all of a sudden it looks like you got a derby horse and something happens, it gets sick, it gets hurt, injured, or, it's just it's just a letdown. So, that's why we're on just pins and needles. And that's why I have 3 stents in my heart. This will wear you down, dude. But you know what? I'm hanging in there. I love it, and it's these horses. This is not what I do for a living. It's a way of life. Training is a way of life because we want to be around these horses, and they bring us so much joy, and they all have their own personalities, and I just, you love being around them. You're outdoors and you're with horses. I mean, you can't beat that. I mean, it's just it's the best job you can have in life.
Well, it shows, and I always appreciate it because I've had to interview you during some losses, and I've interviewed trainers sometimes when they win, Bob, and they don't seem happy. But, you're always a pro when I interview you win or lose. So that's kind of going back to what Mike Pegram said. You appreciate the fact that, just to be in that moment, just to be in a big stage and have a shot says a lot for anybody.
Well, most of the times we're like the heavy favorites, so there's a lot of extra stress put on us. And when we do win, sometimes we're just relieved. That we didn't mess it up when you have a good horse. And that's what really the pressure is. I like American Pharoah, I was just so stressed. I knew I had the horse to deal with. And he just barely got there, and I thought, wow, what happened there? And even my wife asked me that night, she says, I thought we had the super horse. But he barely won. What happened? I don't know. But I'm glad he won. I said, maybe he doesn't want, maybe he wants to be on the lead. And we put him on the lead, and that was the end of that. We were taking his speed away from him. But, you learn sometimes, I had a horse called Point Given. We found out his style.
Yeah.
a race too late. He could have won the Triple Crown, but it's fun and it's nerve wracking, but it's worth it.
Well, it's always fun to talk to you, and I look forward to seeing you at Churchill Downs, and hopefully we'll be hanging out with you on Derby Day.
Well, Kenny, I'm hope I'm there, and we're having, we'll be nervous, but we're having fun.
Well, that's me. I'm nervous, but I have fun every Derby, and hanging out with Bob Baffert's a big reason for all that. So best of luck, my friend. I will see you in Louisville in a matter of days.
All right, Kenny.
Thank you, Bob. Bob Baffert, the Hall of Fame trainer with 3 shots at this year's Derby, Roadster, Game Winner, and Improbable. Will this be the year he wins his 6th and tie the record of the great Ben Jones? We'll be back with more of the Horse Racing Show right after this.